Like, I have a long history of standing up for small business because I come from a blue collar background, and I know the difference between Main Street and Wall Street, and think that it's important that we preserve for both. But anyway, at any rate, so what people don't understand about small business, and I'll do a show and tell with the doll, for example, is that just because you have part of your supply chain overseas does not make you not an American business. There's a
Right.
difference between Temu, which is a Chinese company that sells their shirts really cheaply direct to American consumers, because there are no American employees there. Your money, their revenues and profits all goes to China. But in a US based business, sure, they may source part of the product or all of the product for overseas, but they have designers that are based in the US. They have marketers that are based in the US. They have warehouse staff. They have operation, administration, photographers, other sorts of contractors they may use. They're lawyers. It supports a whole US ecosystem, and dollars for that company, whether they're sold to US consumers or in many cases to overseas consumers, come to the US, and that supports US jobs, that supports US revenue and profit. So when you have 35 million small businesses vis-a-vis about 20,000 big businesses, and just like, by the way, this is COVID 2.0, you're hearing, oh, well, you're a non-essential business because you have part of your supply chain in China, or, hey, we're going to give a favor to Apple and to, the chip manufacturers and these huge businesses, while small businesses suffer all the same things that we hear in COVID. You start going, what is happening? Because
Yeah.
everybody has, basically switched. So I think one of the questions is, well, why wouldn't this company just manufacture in the United States? And I think it's a relevant question. The company I work with has been in China for 30 years. They have had
Hmm.
partners and artisans for 30 years. So this is not a recent switch. It's because of the regulation, the labor force, and the energy costs here in the United States are prohibitive. If you could even find people to do this, you're not going to be able to create a product at a price that somebody else is willing to purchase. And when somebody says, oh, well, you're using slave labor. Okay, not every worker who works overseas is a slave laborer. Yes,
Right.
there are areas, the Uyghurs, horrible human rights violations. The industries that are in that area, which is mostly apparel, have really focused on supply chain to try to not run up against that. But not every person who works for a lower wage than is here in the United States, in dollar terms, by the way, is a slave laborer. And just because we have a difference in our currencies, when you go and you travel to another country and you can use dollars, you don't go, oh my God, I'm staying in the slave suite because I'm only paying a couple $100 for something that would normally cost me $3,000. Like,
Right.
we have an advantage here. And so we're taking, the comparative advantage and exploiting it. So let me just show you these dolls that we're talking about so you can see why this is never going to happen here in the United States.
Show
So
us
this,
on the doll where
where it
where
hurts. Okay.
tariffs hurt you.
Yeah. So this is Mothership Danya Zar. And this is such a cool doll because this whole little outfit here, this is all metal. This is a metal
Wow.
casing. And if you can see, it has like little rhinestones
Uh-huh.
here. She's got these robotic arms and hands that move. She has this incredible face paint, this multi-layered artisan face paint, and this crazy hairdo. She's got these incredible boots. If you can see,
Uh-huh.
the kind of stuff that if you were buying this yourself, you know, this is like couture stuff with
Yeah.
little feet. The jacket itself has kind of a sparkly fabric that has all of this hand sewing, and this is all done. This is a 1/6 scale doll. This is like a 12-inch doll. So all of this is done. It's very, very difficult to do. So yes, we could probably, in terms of the body, you could probably do the plastic injection here. No big deal. The way that this face is made is it's not a sticker. It's not a pad print. It's literally masks. They put a mask and they do a shape. And then they put another mask on it and they do another shape. This is probably 22 different masks that all go on, that if you mess up any one, the whole thing gets scratched and you have to start.
Wow.
So, and why do we not use technology? Because it's not there yet. It cannot get you to a premium product. This doll hair is all rooted in this insane machine by hand, very dangerous, and then individually hand styled and sprayed to look like that. All of this, fabric has to be sourced. All this has to be hand sewn. Same thing here. I mean, how many hours of work do you think goes into creating something like this? And if you have to pay people in the factory 20, 25, $30 an hour plus benefits, this is going to cost you $1,000.
Yeah.
These sale for 180, $85 probably for this.
What is the name of that brand?
So this is Integrity Toys.
Okay.
And there's many others. There's actually another manufacturer that makes bigger dolls, like ones that are like this size, named Robert Tonner, who has a beautiful explanation, same thing, that he would love to manufacture in America. But since the mid 90s, he's been working with the artisans in China because we don't have at scale that talent here. And if we do, nobody would purchase it. So there's a business opportunity that exists today. And this is replicated by millions of businesses, whether it's gadgets, whether it's in apparel, whether it's in dolls, which, by the
Mm.
way, people buy more than two of these, collectors buy more than two of these a year. And,
How dare they?
you cannot tell me that it's a non-essential business, because
Yeah.
during COVID, we all agreed that that was bullshit. You can't say that. That's just unacceptable. It's un-American. That's what makes this country great, is that people can earn a living via comparative advantages. And so for the government, it's not like they said, hey, we're going to give you 2 years. We're going to help you set this up, and we're going to make sure that you can cost effectively manufacture it here. They just put an embargo.
Right.
145% tariff. It's not a tariff. It is an embargo. It is a prohibition. Nobody can pass that on to the customer. So now you have businesses all over the place that are just like, okay, well, I just have to wait. I can't do any business. I can't take in any cash flow. I can't do anything. I still have to pay all my overhead,
Yeah.
but I have no money coming in. And oh, by the way, I've been beaten up for the last 5 years because
I
of
know.
COVID, supply chain, Biden inflation, whatever. And so this is what people aren't understanding about the tariffs. If it was surgically focused on the areas that matter, and we can say, okay, small businesses, we don't care about your dolls, you can go ahead and we'll reimburse you, whatever. It still has the same impact without hurting us. Or if they said, hey, we're not going to let the Temus in, we're not going to let that money flow back to China, and not have any of it come to the US. Okay. But this is a situation where this benefits the US much more than it benefits China to have this company in business. And now the government is saying, sorry, you can't do business. And that's just completely unacceptable.
Yeah, it is. It's really I mean, we're already seeing the trickle down effects after 5 years of like getting battered, and we're a small business, but we've had to give a lot of our advertisers deals on advertising because they called us and were like, "Hey, we're getting screwed right now on these tariffs." And people will yell at me and be like, "Well, they shouldn't have been producing in China." And you're like, what level of child are you that you don't understand that this stuff, like, we don't have the ability to do that. Even if we're going to scale up, it will take years, like you
Years.
said, 2 years. We can't just magically create a factory to make this. It's a very weirdly, like, childish, mentality, and I'm not sure if it's people. I don't understand it. It's that weird defensiveness that I get about the president, but
Yeah.
it's not logical. Like, it's like, look, I voted for the guy. I've been open
Right.
about that.
Me
I'm
too.
I'm not somebody who's out here going, I want him to fail so that I can be right, that he was always this. I like, he's crazy enough that some I was like, we were joking about this on Dumpster Fire, like, the little guy might pull it off. He's crazy enough that sometimes his crazy stuff, but
We're
these what like the supply chain, I have friends who have parents in they're longshoresmen, and they're like, it's always 3 to 6 months behind. Always.
Oh, yeah, of course,
So
because
all of
it
this
takes.
stuff, like, we're feeling the effects of it already, and we haven't even started talking about AI, by the way. I've had 3 friends who have been laid off because of AI, and they're just freelance artists, but they're the first this is the first, like, no one cares about the freelance artists, and you don't see it in the jobs. Like, you're not seeing it in the jobs reports because these people aren't on payrolls. They're just freelancers, and so I'm like, "You guys don't even know the next evolution of bloodbath that's coming, and it is already happening in conjunction with this weird tariff thing. And even like the pencil doll talk, I'm like, this is like Great Depression talk, like it for some reason it's like I don't like it. I don't like these like I don't like why the pencil and the doll has become this weird proxy. Why? Why the doll?
It's because a lot of those manufacturers have come out and spoken out against it, and because there's an identifiable issue with the holiday season, right? Q4
Mm.
is the biggest quarter of the year. Many companies, whether it be retailers or consumer goods, make their entire year in Q4, but that's happening right now. That's being manufactured now, and it'll be shipped, here probably next month to be able to get in ahead of the holidays. And so if something doesn't shift now, basically that's going to impact holiday. And so when we raise the alarm bell and say, hey, dolls and whatever, that's what sticks in his brain. So that becomes the talking point.
Are you dealing with an HMO like I am? It's such a pain in the butt. If I want to get any sort of testing done to ensure I'm making my health a priority, I have to wait weeks for an appointment to see my doctor, then get a referral from her, and wait weeks more for an appointment with the specialist I needed to see just to get some lab work. Quest simplifies this process. I can purchase my own lab tests online and test for a multitude of health issues I might be concerned about, then take those results to my doctor better armed with the information I need. At questhealth.com, you can get hundreds of tests across several different categories, from allergies to heart health, hormones, sexual health, women's health tests for egg quantity, perimenopause, menopause, men's health tests for testosterone, prostate, and so much more. These are lab quality tests, the same ones you'd be given at your doctor's office. So prioritize your health and visit questhealth.com today. Use the code Phetasy to get 25% off and find answers to the multitude of health questions you may have. That's questhealth.com and use the code Phetasy for 25% off.